Greetings, life forms, wherever you're receiving us. This is Justin, and you are about to hear the Nerd News Cafe Avengers Infinity War Review Part 1. Again, I'm not quite sure how many parts this is going to be just yet. This was a very long recording, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 hours. So we might be looking at maybe a 3-parter here. It might be a nice trilogy, but we had a lot of fun doing it. I hope that you're excited to hear our hot takes. They're coming at you like hot cakes, so you better get the syrup. Without further ado, let's get into the Nerd News Cafe Avengers Infinity War Review. Take it away, fellas. Welcome back to Nerd News Cafe. It is time to get into Avengers Infinity War, or should I just call it Avengers 3, or I don't know. Whatever you guys want to call it.
I thought Avengers 3 was Civil War. Wait, no, that was Captain America 3, or was it 4?
it felt like Avengers 3
/ Avengers 3.
There's been like 18 movies. Like the fact that we can keep most of them in order, I feel like good job on us.
Yeah, that's a pretty good statement. All right, so we've all seen it now. Landon, you've seen it twice. You're fresh off your second viewing.
Indeed.
And I think this is going to get really interesting really quickly, but I don't even know. It's almost tough to know. It's almost tough to know where to start to talk about this movie. I have one question because I think I'm still the only one of this group that hasn't seen Ragnarok. When the movie kicks off, was that just like a continuation of where Ragnarok ended? Because that's what I assumed, but I don't know.
More or less.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one of the post-credit sequences where the ship holding the remaining Asgardians and the people that were on Scar, the planet where, it was Planet Hulk but wasn't Planet Hulk, that was the remaining of Asgard, and one of those post-credit sequences is that ship coming up on Thanos. We don't see any, combat, it's just that ship coming up on Thanos' ship. So there is some stuff we, the audience, don't see because the movie starts just bang.
Oh, yeah, drops you right in.
You hit the ground running, and
you're just dropped in.
And I think that opening sequence really was a good way to set the tone and set the stakes because, I mean, in the first 10 minutes, you see Heimdall killed on screen, and then you see Thanos beat the bejesus out of the Hulk and scare him off, and then you see him not just kill Loki, not just break his neck, crush his neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that opening scene was intense, and I have to say, for a time jump, from Ragnarok to that, I thought it was great. It was a great way to open a movie.
It really was a great way to open the movie, and it was surprising because it pretty much, it's like, Jay, you haven't seen Ragnarok, but it pretty much erased every Thor plotline that could have gone forward from Ragnarok. Like I'm very interested to see what they do with Thor post Infinity Wars and post Avengers 4, because I mean, everything that could have happened coming out of Ragnarok got blowed up in that Asgardian ship.
So, okay, well, you know what that means, though? It kind of leveled the playing field for those of us who haven't seen Thor Ragnarok. Basically what you're telling me here is from that point forward, we were all on the same page. So,
absolutely, yeah. And speaking of a character that's kind of a conduit for the audience that hadn't seen all 18 movies, I feel like in some points Bruce Banner's character was that conduit for the character, because Banner had been off-world for 2 years, hulked out on Scar, so he has no idea what's happened over the last 2 years. So if the last time you saw the Avengers was in the original Avengers, why the hell aren't they talking anymore? Oh, Cap and Tony had a hard falling out, and Bruce literally asked, why the hell aren't you talking? Where's Clint? Wait, y'all have a Spider-Man and an Ant-Man now? It's like, I loved that design of Banner acting as the conduit for the audience that hadn't seen all 18. Because, I mean, let's be honest, there are comic Dorcases like us that have seen all 18. Or I guess there's Dorcases like me that's seen all 18, but you guys haven't seen all 18.
Right, exactly.
I'm missing one.
Yeah, just one for me, too, so... It happens to be Ragnarok, the one right before. Well, I guess you'd say Black Panther was right before this one. I heard people saying that you really needed to see Black Panther before you saw this one. I would agree with that to a certain extent, but I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think the story that they told in Black Panther would have, like, missing out on that would have made you confused or anything.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I didn't see Black Panther, and I didn't feel lost at all.
Yeah,
I mean, I understood who they were already.
Yeah.
for the most part.
I think it just adds to it. Like it adds to his like you understanding like who his sister is. Like and getting I feel so bad because I can't. I'm gonna forget character names as we talk about this, but
because there's like a bazillion of them.
Yeah, there's only 1,000 characters in this movie.
I'm surprised we didn't get an Aunt May cameo.
Is it Shuri? I think that's his sister's name.
Yeah, Shuri.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Suri.
Okay, Suri.
Suri.
So anyway, like I think that it adds to the impact of things that you see when you have the backstory, but at the same time you aren't lost. So I think that's one thing that I would say is based on what I'm hearing from what you say about the way the movie starts with Ragnarok, and then also what we're talking about here with Black Panther. You can go into this movie and really watch it as a standalone. It probably doesn't have the same kind of impact as if you've seen all 18, but at the same time, you can still see it, enjoy it, and understand what's going on. And a special thanks to Mark Ruffalo for being
for being the audience person asking those literal lines. And it's like one of the persons that I saw it with originally. Like, I think he said the last movie he saw was the original Guardian. So, I mean, there was stuff that like big giant chunks that he missed out on. And I asked him after we saw it, it's like, so was there any point where you were lost? And he said the only time where he really didn't know what was going on was like the whole stuff with Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
Like, other than that, he understood pretty much everything that was going on. And like you said, Jay, it's like, I do think there were some moments that, it didn't carry quite the punch that it had for, us did it to him, but I mean, he said it didn't take away from his experience. So, so I do think it was a very well done movie in that aspect. It had, obviously 18 movies, 10 years of build up. They're gonna, do some fan service, but at the same time, they do realize not everybody has seen all these movies. So that like from a storytelling standpoint, you got to give him a tip of the cap on that.
Yeah, I would agree. So we move from the battle in space with Thanos to because basically Heimdall's last act was to send the Hulk.
Well,
to
I was going
to
say there were survivors from that.
Yeah. Well, so Thor, we don't know that Thor survives. He's out floating in space.
Well, but at the thing they said that a bunch of them had escaped. I guess I had missed that part. And, just kind of reflecting and talking, and somebody said, no, he says some as Guardians had escaped.
Yeah, okay. That is true. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's why we're missing a key character from Ragnarok, which is the Valkyrie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I can't remember her name.
No, it's just straight up Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, okay. So, I mean, she was totally missing from that battle, and I was looking for her in space. I was looking for her on the ship there laid out. Didn't see her, so I got to talk to somebody, and I guess I missed that part.
Well, and Jade made reference to I am fresh off my second screening. I too was like, okay, is Valkyrie's body laying on the ground? So it's like I didn't see her, so we have to assume she made it off on that ship. Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe the Rock and Bug Monster from
God, I hope they did
too. Seriously,
I was kind of emotional about them. I was like, oh man, they're gonna get killed.
They were so good.
Yep. Yeah, but as Heimdall, you said that he met his untimely demise there in the battle in space. But one of the things he did before he passed on was he did zap Hulk to Earth. So he could basically, put
Thanos
the call out.
Is coming.
Yeah, warn everybody. Yeah.
I was upset about the whole Hulk thing.
Really?
No. I don't care that he got beat. That's fine. But him refusing to come out in this movie, I'm just like, okay, sure. I'm sure Ruffalo needs screen time. It's cool. I did not care for that at all.
See, I loved that fact. Because up until this point, we the viewer have been taught that no one's stronger than Hulk, and the angrier Hulk gets, the stronger he gets, and his secret is he's always angry.
Right.
And once again, going back to that opening sequence, Loki gets to say, and we have a Hulk, and here comes Hulk busting like he's the Kool-Aid man out of the fourth wall, just beating the bejesus out of Thanos, and then Thanos is like, oh, okay, cool, and he just whoops his ass like it's a
no.
It's a schoolyard beatdown, and I love the fact that the Hulk has finally been bested, and he's like, wait, what? And now he's terrified. I love that. Like, it gives the character of Bruce Banner and the Hulk another wrinkle. And when the Hulk finally gets over his performance issues, it's gonna blow the roof off the theater when he comes and makes that hot baby face save.
I guess I just didn't care for it. He's like, no. I'm like, why are we even doing this if he's not going to come out? I see the struggle. I get it.
That he just straight up said no twice. Like, I thought that was hilarious.
It was kind of funny.
It was funny, but I was like, God, this is just infuriating.
You giant green asshole.
I didn't. I'll tell you this.
There's a lot of language in this movie. Like, this might set the
record.
Oh
yeah, good Lord. I was kind of embarrassed at some point. And I say half those words on a daily basis.
Won't somebody think of the children? Jesus Christ.
I will say this. Landon, you've kind of enlightened me on this one, because I didn't really understand what was going on there. I was like, why? I couldn't understand why the Hulk was refusing to come back. But you're right. Like, he was put in his place in that moment. And so now it's like a performance issue. It's hey, if we want to tie it back to something real world, basically, Ronda Rousey just got beat real bad, and now maybe she wants to go play in another Sandlot or something. So
and I'm sure the WWE would welcome Bruce Banner with open arms.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's still fighting.
And somehow
she's
Triple
still
H is going to
fighting,
main event WrestleMania 36 with the Hulk.
So yeah, that was interesting, because I kept thinking, what's going on there? And it kind of reminded me, we've seen like Spider-Man in the movies have issues where all of a sudden he starts like questioning himself, and then he can't produce. This was the Tobey Maguire era, but he couldn't produce web. Think weird things were kind of happening, and I was like, I feel like we've kind of seen this kind of thing in the Marvel universe, so that it kind of makes sense now. I've made all the the connections now that he's like questioning his ability to even do the very thing that he thinks that he can do, which is be the strongest one, right?
Yeah, Hulk smash. That's the only thing he knows.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay, I got you. Questioning himself. Yeah.
Yeah, there are layers in this movie. It isn't just throwing all your favorite toys at each other and smashing them onto the screen for nearly 3 hours.
I will tell you this. So now that we've kind of gotten to the point where we get to see Doctor Strange, and Tony Stark shows up.
Hey, shout out to Wong. Don't forget Wong.
And Wong, yeah.
But he's still waiting for that tuna melt.
I love the dynamic that they built with Doctor Strange and Tony Stark.
Yeah, I put a note down. It said, Doctor Strange, maybe a second chance?
Exactly. I thought so too.
Yes.
He was way better in this movie for me, and I know he's in Ragnarok, right? He shows up
for one scene.
Yeah, but he's funny in that one too. That's pretty funny.
Like, yeah, I'll echo what Matt said. He was way funnier in Ragnarok and more entertaining in that one sequence than he was in my opinion, in his entire movie. And I'll echo what you said, Jay. It's like, I thought he was great in this movie. Like seeing Strange play at the highest of stakes, playing off the highest of characters. Like, he and Stark, like, I could watch those two just like be catty and bitchy to each other for 45 minutes on their way to Titan. Like I really hope that's a deleted scene.
The whole interaction where Tony Stark's leaning on that giant vase.
My God. Yeah.
That was so good.
What is it? Stark said, it's like, did you really just hither and two-for me?
Yeah.
and then his cape smacks his hand off the cauldron. It's like the small things in this movie, like obviously they know the stakes are big and stuff's going to get really heavy. So I do like the fact that they are able to introduce little small, like, humorous things, little pieces of humor here and there while they can. Because I mean, like, and we'll get to this as we go through the podcast, like the last 60 to 75 minutes, I mean, once Thanos gets to Titan, like, buckle up, bling blong, it's about to get real.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the reason this movie has those kind of takes and those kind of, serious to silly real quick is because Guardians are in it?
I mean, I guess it's a possibility. Definitely once the Guardians show up and it shifts to them, there is more of that, Guardian feel to it. But at the same time, it's like Tony Stark was kind of doing the snarky, quippy stuff before Peter Quill was doing it, before Ant-Man was doing it, before it seems like 75% of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was doing it. And like, I kind of feel like it kind of took away some of the punch from Stark doing his, snarky thing, because, Doctor Strange was doing it right back to him, even though that was hilarious. And Quill was giving it right back to him, even though that was hilarious. Hell, even Spider-Man kind of gave it back to him as well. But it's like, I don't think those like little things of humor are there simply because of the Guardians. I think they're there because, much like the last few Marvel movies, they know like stuff gets really heavy really fast in Infinity Wars. So they don't want it to be a slog like it's a DC film.
Exactly.
Like where it's just 2.5 hours of relentless, like, oh my God, epicness just punching you in the face.
Yeah, I was going to say, my opinion was this movie, like end to end, and maybe it's because of the planet hopping and there was a lot of space activity and stuff, but even the feel of it, just from the tone of the writing and things like that, it felt more Guardians to me than the other Avengers films did. But you're exactly right. This movie has a lot of really intense moments, and so if they didn't sprinkle in those comedy relief like instances, it would almost be too much. You'd be worn out by the end of this film. And I can tell you, we were talking before we got started about like reactions in the theaters that we were in. Well, I was sitting right next to one of the biggest reactors to like the intense moments, which was Sam. This time it wasn't that lady.
Oh, okay.
No, it was Sam, my wife. She was like, in all the moments, like one of the ones that stands out to me was what was going on with Nebula, and the kind of the torture that was happening with her.
Oh,
like,
gosh, that was a rough scene.
But that wasn't the only moment. They were doing it to Vision. They did it to Doctor Strange. Like, there were a lot of those, like, Han Solo getting tortured for no apparent reason kind of moments.
Jeez, did Mel Gibson get a writing credit on this thing?
Exactly. And I mean, the reaction of the crowd was just like people cringing, kind of turning their heads, covering their face, because some of it was hard to watch. This had more intense, difficult to watch moments than any Marvel movie I've seen to date.
Oh, combined. And like, you didn't even talk about the stuff that happens in the very last moments of that movie. It's like, and we'll get to that when we get to it, but like, there were audible gasps. You could hear people sob in the theater.
And so I think if they had not sprinkled in little moments of levity, I don't know that you could take this movie. It's like your spoon. It's your spoonful of sugar,
Yeah, it does help the medicine go down, because it's like in my screening, at least on heck, even the second go around, people were walking out of that theater like stone cold silent, sober, like just like they're walking away from almost like seeing like a horrific car accident or something.
I don't know. I still think because it was a collaborative writing thing, and because, the person who wrote, which I think is Fig, right, that wrote Guardians.
James Gunn wrote
James Gunn. Sorry. And he was a part of, they all brought him together to make this movie.
And James Gunn can do no wrong.
Well, true. As of yet, nothing's come out.
Hey, he wrote Slither, so he's good in my book.
Well, that's fine. So, but I'm just saying, with them writing the way it did, because I know there was some funny haha moments in Civil War, but not like this.
No.
In Ultron, there was some funny moments, but not like this. These kind of chuckle, quick wit, constant jokes, even the ones you don't get, are really very Galaxy of the Guardian to me. Because it's constant. And I'm not saying the whole movie's, determined like this, but I did notice a huge change in Thor movies because of it.
Well, and
now
that was
we're starting
also
to see it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, you can jump in anytime.
Okay, I was going to say, like...
Help me work through this, Landon.
All right, yes, this is what I'm here for, my child. Especially when you drop Ragnarok, that's when Marvel was really getting out of these auteurs' visions, these directors' visions, because we talked about it previously. Originally, Edgar Wright was supposed to direct Ant-Man, and he had a very big hand in the writing process, and he had to bow out of the directing. But there are still times where you can feel the Edgar Wrightness of Ant-Man. And I think Marvel has finally realized, all right, we're just gonna, hands off and let these amazing, critically acclaimed directors do their thing because they're critically acclaimed for a reason. And
they're making the money for us.
Exactly. Not only are they making the money for us, they're bringing us all the acclaim because, I mean, Thor Ragnarok was, I'm sure I could look it up, but off the top of my head, I'm sure it's the most A, financially successful Thor movie, and B, like from a viewer standpoint, it's the best Thor movie, period. And it feels different from everything that Marvel had been doing, maybe with the exception of the Guardians. So, like, I really feel like Marvel's to the point where it's like, hey, we've made enough money. Let's just let these dudes do their thing. And it's interesting you name check. There are some, jokes in Civil War. The director of Civil War were the Russo brothers. The Russo brothers were also the director of the Infinity Wars, who were also in on the writing of the Infinity Wars with James Gunn. And the Russo brothers, at least for me, first became known because they directed an episode of Community, which is a comedy. So these guys do have some comedic timing in them. So, like, it's like, it very well could be they, like, the Russo brothers and James Gunn all sat down. It's like, okay, there is some stuff that is just going to be like dick kick city for the audience. Like they are not going to feel good. So we need to bring the ha-has. So I mean,
need some sprinkles.
Exactly. Yeah, they could have sat down. It's like, here's a bottle of whiskey. Let's figure out the ha-has. So I mean, it's like that's an absolute possibility.
So more of an evolution in world building and storytelling is what you're saying. I can see. Okay, I'm on with that. They tried some different pies, and they found out what people like and what people aren't wild about, and now they're making what,
AKA Thor: The Dark World. That's what people are wild about.
Well, and God, that one. And I mean, Ultron. I mean, is successful it was. A lot of people still aren't happy with it.
Ultron was a fine movie, but I
it's not my favorite.
Yeah,
no, it's not my favorite either. But I really kind of feel like part of what people don't like about it is what it had to follow.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Like, it had crazy high expectations.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I felt like the battles were really crazy in it too. And like, I couldn't follow what was happening all the time. And it was just overwhelming to me, where every other movie after that has never been that. Like, I could either follow it or they were doing something to distract me enough where it didn't matter.
So like you talked about earlier, it's evolving.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think I'm going to go with what you're conveying here, is that it's an evolution in mood and storytelling for them, which makes sense. I mean, everybody's got to evolve as a filmmaker,
and they're building on what works, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, leading up to Infinity Wars, they've had 18 shots to see what works.
Well, but you're exactly right. Like, for the most part, these movies have worked out really well for them, and then people have kind of like minor issues with them, so they can just adjust on the fly. It hasn't been like they've just laid a total egg.
Issue.
Yeah, because
I mean that's the thing. Marvel has not released an outright bad film. There have been films that were not good compared to other Marvel movies. But it's like, I just bagged on Thor: Dark World. Like, I don't I wouldn't sit down to watch it. But exactly, I don't know if I would call it an outright bad movie.
Yeah. It's just if you're putting it up against these 17 others, right? It probably wouldn't be the first one you'd put on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be near the top for sure.
Yeah, we already did those episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to hear from somebody who really loves that movie.
I'm sure he's out there, or her.
Yeah, I would love to hear for the Thor: Dark World apologist out there.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Maybe apologist is the wrong word.
That was a terrible word.
Matt, I know we've been kind of going chronologically here, but I want to stop for a second and say, I know you said you kind of put together a list of good, bad, and then questions. I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, because I think that's kind of an interesting way to move forward. So, from the good side, like, what were the things that you put on your list?
And this should be no surprise. Every Guardians moment was my favorite. I loved every time we were with them, everything we were doing with them. It was just a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, Drax,
watching them play with other characters, watching the characters mess with them,
Drax is continuing to develop his stand-up act.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Groot playing the arcade defender.
In the entirety of the time, I think I laughed, and it's probably I was that guy in the theater, just belly laughing at the whole pretzel thing with
No, they're some sort of nut. I thought they were pretzels too.
Oh, yeah, okay. Whatever Drax is eating, and he goes, "You can't see me if I go really slow."
I go really slow.
I could not stop laughing. I was like, "This is so uncomfortable," and I love every moment of it.
And then this scene ends with Mantis, the most cheerful character in the entire MCU, and it's like, "Hi, Drax." Like Drax, so defeated. He's like, "God."
So good. The other thing was, there was a lot of flying in this movie, and I thought that was the best movie I have ever seen done with flying. And I have been a Superman fan forever, and it's never done right except for now. Even when Scarlet Witch is like boosting herself over buildings and stuff, when she flares out her powers to land, I'm like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You know, and at one point Vision takes off. There's a lot of flying in this, and I'm like, they are doing this.
Hell, the cape flies at one point.
Yeah, exactly. There is so much that was in the thought of flying in this. I was like, this is really thought out. I was like, I really enjoyed the moments where before I'd be like, okay, we're in the air, you know, and I really enjoyed that.
I mean, you can definitely see the leaps and bounds, not only from the story standpoint, from the technological standpoint, they've taken from that original Iron Man movie. It's like, it still holds up, but it's like, if you compare the original Iron Man movie to like Josh Brolin as Thanos, like just seeing what Marvel has been able to make, like, holy smokes.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you mentioned Iron Man and flying. When he had to put on that rocket booster just to get close to that ship.
Oh, yeah. Friday,
I was like, this is totally makes sense to me. I mean, you know, it's like he had to have more power to catch this ship that has no problems getting in and out of the atmosphere. So I don't know. All the flying in it was really done well. The people with powers that were, you know, more or less leaping huge amounts of ground, I still thought that them falling and the whole landing and everything was great. And another one of the positives, and this one's kind of iffy with some people, I like that Thanos had humanity.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed that, watching him struggle with what he was doing for what he thought was the betterment of the universe, no matter what he had to sacrifice. And he did have to sacrifice some stuff.
Yeah, what you said right there, what he thinks he has to do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. And maybe you guys can tell me what you thought when he said, I had a chance before and I didn't do it, and now I'm going to, or something like that. What did you think he meant by that when he sacrificed Gamora and he said he didn't do it the first time? Do you think it's because of Titan?
I mean, like I didn't notice that line during my first viewing, but I did notice it the second viewing, and it very well could be him talking about Titan. Because other than that, we have no other indication of something he's lost that he cares that deeply about. Because even when he, is talking to Strange and he uses the reality gem to revert back to before things went wrong on Titan, you can tell he still, holds this place in high regard with love.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, now that you mention it, that could be the only thing, like, and that has to make you wonder, what didn't he do on Titan that he regrets? Is it not just forcing genocide, like Strange said?
No, this is not my choice. This is for the betterment of where I live, which is this universe.
Yeah, he really, you think he really believes that? That's the question.
And
yes.
He absolutely believes it.
The MCU version of Thanos, I think, believes that.
Okay.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And that
the comics.
Well, let's just contain Thanos to like the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War era Thanos, because they've done some stuff with Thanos. Though I guess we really can't even contain it to just that era Thanos, because they introduced his Black Order, and that's a
true.
fairly recent addition to the Marvel universe.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting. McKenna, when we were talking after the movie, said that she didn't believe that it was really a huge sacrifice for him to sacrifice Gamora. Like she didn't buy it. She was like, why was he even crying? Like like honestly, she felt like he was just an unfeeling, no emotion sociopath and didn't have a connection to anything. I was like, yeah, but that's what they were really trying to get across in that moment, was the only thing he really cared about was Gamora.
Yeah, I mean, you can attest to something that you've seen grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You love it. I mean, you wouldn't keep it if you didn't.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything. People are pets. So it does. I mean, it does. You feel a huge loss when they are not there. And I mean, if he did not care about her, he wouldn't have done the things he done for her. I mean, he had a chance. Everybody else who's done him wrong or failed him, do you see him anywhere?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he crushes, kills, or destroys them.
Well, her and Nebula.
Yeah, her Stern talking to.
Yeah, it's like I'm not mad. I'm disappointed, but also I have the power of a god. So you should probably still be terrified.
And he didn't use it on her.
No,
he didn't use it on her at all. Now,
but hold on. Let
Nebula?
me jump in here. I kind of have to agree with McKenna in this aspect, because it's like you talked about, like we've seen we see these humans grow and we have attachment to them. We didn't really get the chance to see Thanos grow, and we didn't get the chance to see Thanos show his, admiration and love for Gamora, other than, the handful of scenes in the movie leading right up to the point where he throws her off a cliff. And it's like, now maybe if we had some inkling of that over a couple movies, it's like, and I'll echo what McKenna says. It's like when Gamora starts sobbing uncontrollably after she kills what she thinks is Thanos, I'm like, wait, this is just a hard pivot. Like what?
Yeah, it did feel weird to me too. That moment you're referring to, and she stabbed him right in the heart, or what she thought was Thanos.
In the jugular and then the heart.
With
the
knife
jugular and
he gave her.
With the knife he gave. Yeah, and she's I
was
thought
a
so.
Jack Pez dispenser, by the way.
But I thought so too. I was like, geez, up until this moment, I guess we haven't had any kind of indication that she cared that deeply for Thanos.
Yeah, because up until this point, she was billed as the baddest woman in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And I mean, most people try to run from their problems and try to find a new family to live in to escape the old one that wasn't so good.
Yes, like a podcast audience. We love you all.
Absolutely. Please help me. Oh, no,
Please
I felt it. I understood it. I was like, okay, I see where this is going, because he doesn't do anything to her. He literally did nothing to her. Nebula, the reason he tortures her, I think Nebula was never really his daughter. It was just somebody for Gamora to have. It was a sister.
Yeah.
It was somebody to give her a more complete picture.
More of an agent of his will than anything else.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you need something to play with or somebody to play with? Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
No, we don't want you to be alone type thing.
I don't want you to be alone. I'm going to be gone, destroying planets.
Well,
kind of need you to stay here.
You already compared people to pets. It's equivalent of like, well, here's a dog, but it has, sentience and thumbs and
Here's the thing about, and this is going to be real deep, and I'm sure somebody with better farm knowledge than me will say something. When you're sowing fields, you have to burn them off once.
Yeah.
And that makes the growth in it better.
Right.
And that's what he's doing, is he's burning off half a field in each world.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows he doesn't have the lifetime to go and do this to every single world. So, how do you do that? You shortcut it with, powers of the universe. So it makes sense to me. I believe in his, the humanity that is in him about Gamora. But as far as everybody else is just a means to an end.
Yeah.
He doesn't care that was your brother, sister, lover, taxi driver.
So Mark Tape, that's the point where Matt says he thinks genocide is the answer.
I do not think genocide is the answer. I understand what they're doing in the movie.
Man, that's going to do wonders for your future political career, man. I'm just telling you.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Matt Weaver, tough on taxes, okay on genocide. It's a platform I can get behind.
If I had the gauntlet, guys, say goodbye to your whoever. Just kidding. No, I understand what he was doing. I mean, understand the reasoning. You can understand something without believing in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how the world's supposed to.
If he truly, and we're saying he truly believes that this is how the universe is going to continue.
That was his whole explanation, because every time he said it, he was like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
This is just the way it's got to be.
It has to be this way. Unfortunately, I'm the one who has to do it.
And even Gamora said, like, as long as I've known Thanos, he's only had one single goal, and it's that to eliminate half of all existence so the other half can survive.
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
And from a story writing standpoint, the best type of villains are the ones that truly believe in their insanity. And like I said earlier, I think Thanos is not only drinking the Kool-Aid, he's the Kool-Aid man at this point.
He is the Kool-Aid.
That's how deep he is.
He's the grape Kool-Aid man.
The most dangerous is the fanatic. Yeah. So,
well, and then like talking to fanatical, we made reference to him earlier, the Black Order. It's like, talk about fanatic. Question. Yeah. Oh, and especially the character of the Black Maw. It's like, that was a great villain. The other ones, meh.
He's on my bad, and it's not because of who he is. It's because he was a cool loser, because he got his crap kicked every time we saw him.
Wait, the Black Maw? No, like he.
Well, he was just going around sticking Vision every 5 minutes, but I mean, ultimately he gets.
No, we're talking to two different people. Yeah. The guy that got jobbed out. Yeah, that guy sucks.
I like that guy with the spear. I liked him. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He just kept getting the crap kicked out of him. We're talking about the one that was with Midnight, right?
No,
I've got their names confused.
Yes, that is a one thing that I kind of do have a problem with the movie. Like, there is no explanation to the Black Order at all, and they just like fat guy flip you right there in. Here are these four guys, and three guys and a chick, and they have powers, and they're following Thanos, and this one guy
called them his children.
Yeah. They identify
their names, right? Children of Thanos.
Well, I believe they're called the Black Order. Like as a whole, but it's like, I mean, the Black Maw, the one that I'm talking about, is the one that shows up and goes toe to toe with Strange, and is the one that
that's
wraps
holding
him
him.
With the
He's holding Strange
awesome.
captive. Yeah,
that guy. Yeah, now that guy I really enjoyed too. But the thing about him is though, I had to look him up. Corvus Glaive.
Oh yeah, right.
Corvus Glaive. I really like that guy. Did nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about guys you like that did nothing in this movie, can we talk about the Vision? Because the Vision did nothing
on my bad list
except get jobbed the hell out at every possible opportunity.
I put a voodoo doll that you beat on.
Yeah,
because I mean, literally, we're just stabbing the piss out of him all the time. Mm-hmm. Literally, that man has got a secular blade through him more times in that movie than I think anybody anywhere in the entire MCU.
He was a bit of a pincushion in this one.
It really was.
He's had more jabs than. I don't know. I just didn't care, and I thought it was a waste because, right at the first, we're kind of seeing where him and Scarlet Witch have kind of built out their own little life. And I'm like, okay. See where this went.
Yeah. Somewhat secret at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of. I think they know, when people at work are, But I mean, where's George? So, I don't know. I thought it was really cool that they were trying to give him a story, trying to give him a life. And she was really involved. And I will say, she being on my, Scarlet Witch, I didn't think I could like an Olsen, but let me tell you, I thought she did a spectacular job.
She was great. This was my favorite Scarlet Witch ever.
Everything.
Yeah. She was really good.
Even over Civil War?
Yeah. I liked her better in this one.
Oh, absolutely. Civil War was just the tip of it. This really brought it home.
Like, just put the
nail in the, yeah.
Wait, no
this
different.
Was everything. No. This it doesn't.
Jay's like, I don't care. I don't
care.
We're letting them all go at this point.
But I mean, I felt like, like you said, Civil War kind of built it, and kind of started the house. This finished the house off. We're putting the shingles on.
The part at the end where they're in Wakanda and the battle's going on, and Scarlet Witch waits till the battle is at a fever pitch, and then she comes out and starts fighting.
Yeah,
and it was funny because at that point, Shuri basically, or it may have been one of the Wakanda warriors, basically
head of the King's Guard.
Okay, speaks for everybody by saying, "Why wasn't she already out here?"
Yeah,
because she is.
Yeah.
She's
exactly.
question. I mean and I had that thought the second time through. Obviously, she was on vision defense, but it's like if she could have again, her abilities are to control probability. She's crazy powerful.
Mhm.
Like if she was out there on the front line, what's not to say they wouldn't have cleaned up what was it Wakanda, like flat out period. Because if you remember when Thanos finally shows up on Wakanda, it's after Thor and Groot and Rocket show up, and they have turned the tides, and they are just whipping the hell out of
Are
everybody.
you talking about Thor?
Mhm.
Let me tell you something. Put another mark in the. I'm gonna put you up there at the top of my people I want to watch now.
Yeah.
Dude, they have turned him into something I absolutely care everything about.
Yeah.
Thor is so great, especially with what they've done with the last couple movies. They've finally gotten Thor right. And I didn't know they hadn't gotten Thor right up until this point.
I've had to eat crow from day one with this character because I was like, a Thor movie, can I not?
Right?
Like I was like, no.
Shakespeare in the Park. Does your mother know doth wear thine drape?
I'm just like, I can't watch Thor because the comics did not care about him. 90s comics were kind of my thing, 80s and 90s. I just did not care about him. And every time he was in a comic, I was like, skip. Or, if he's on a page, skip. I just didn't care. And maybe it's Hemsworth, maybe the way they write him, whatever it is, they have absolutely put him at the top for me. Absolutely.
He was dominant in this movie too. Like and not just from a power perspective, but his performance. Like Thor was, every time he was on the screen, it was fun to watch.
Man with nothing to lose.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the scene that he and Rocket shared, where Rocket has to be the dad. Like seriously, can like I already talked about the 45 minutes of Stark and Strange being catty to each other on the Blu-ray. Can I get like a full blown 90-minute buddy cop movie of Rocket, Groot, and Thor, or Rabbit, Groot, and Thor?
Rabbit,
and throw in Star-Lord every 5 seconds.
What?
Oh my gosh!
What are you talking about?
Are you talking like the God Man?
No, this is how I talk. He's doing it again. There, you're God.
More Drax, really pumping up the comedy. But so good.
Like, it's somebody who watched him in the WWE. Never in a bazillion years would I think Dave Bautista would have just the best comedic timing, like in an action movie. He's nailing it. Great. Every scene he's in, he straight up steals.
It's true. It's true. He's a funny dude, and he nails his lines. They use him exactly like they needed to in this one.
Yeah. He's in and out. He's doing what he's supposed to, but to have those surprise, just what is this character doing, kind of thing. Because then I go a little bit more cerebral with going, how much of this do they put up with on this ship?
Right.
Like, how much of this stuff is he constantly doing stuff?
Oh, yeah. If this is just the stuff we're seeing, hell, in Guardians 2, we heard him tell Quill about the time his parents conceived him. So, and once again, that's just the stuff we see. Yeah. What are you talking about? It's a glorious story. They would tell it all the time.
Yes, they would, but we're going to have to continue our story on the next episode. Man, what did I tell you? These three idiots can go on for way too long. If you're enjoying what you hear, stay tuned. Part 2 is coming up next.